I mean, honestly, if you're listening to this podcast, spoilers.
Spoilers.
I do hereby make my last will and testament. If I am to be executed, thus cruelly deprived of all existence, I ask only that my remains be transported back to my home planet by my rival Time Lord and Nemesis, he who calls himself the Doctor.
You who dare to challenge the power of the Daleks have been found guilty as charged. Prepare to die. Exterminate! Exterminate! Exterminate!
People of the universe, please attend carefully. The message which follows is of vital importance to you all. We present to you a case study of one of the most dangerous minds in the universe. A history of the lives and times of the renegade Time Lord known as the Master.
Call me Master.
The choice is simple. Join us and continue listening, or face total annihilation.
Listen.
They are the Master, and you will obey them.
You will obey me.
Please attend carefully. Hello and welcome to Please Attend Carefully, the Doctor Who podcast about the most magisterial of malefactors. I'm Ciarán Moffatt.
And I'm Amber Patrick.
And each week we bring you a chapter from the lives and times of the renegade Time Lord known universally as the Master. This week we will be looking at the TV movie, a 1996 TV story written by Matthew Jacobs. Amber, tell us, what is it about?
The Master is executed by the Daleks and must find a new body before he is gone forever. He takes over the body of Bruce, a human paramedic, but it can't sustain him. So he plots to take the Doctor's body for himself using the Eye of Harmony within the TARDIS.
Okay. All right, first thing, top thing that I want to talk about is the title. Okay? I'm calling it. We now have to, as a society, go forward and call this The Enemy Within. It is not the TV movie.
Okay.
It is a stupid title. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Oh, actually, that's not even its title. Its title is literally Doctor Who in inverted commas.
Yeah, but can't you just hear that Fox announcer's voice? Doctor Who, the
Doctor
movie.
Who, the movie.
I mean, I have to say that this movie is just absolutely 100% a product of the time and place it was made. There is nothing else to say about this. It is 90s America TV movie. Up and down. It's not timeless. That's what it is. It's a fixed point there. Like,
and what could look more like America than Vancouver?
Yeah, that's the other thing. With some lovely stock footage thrown in.
Yep, okay. Look, I'm fine leaving it there, to be perfectly honest. No, we should go into it. All right, let's start from the top. Now, the movie opens with a voiceover by Paul McGann. That wasn't always the case. The original voiceover was by Gordon Tipple, who was cast to play the old Master.
Yes, who we see imprisoned by the Daleks in the opener.
You know, it's funny, like, watching that on an old TV, like watching that in 1996, I thought that was just CG'd. I didn't think that was an actual person in there. And like growing up and like reading more into Doctor Who, Gordon Tipple was a real person. He was a Canadian actor. His voice does not fit the Master. He looks like the Master. His voice does not sound like the Master.
Yep.
The cold open that you would have heard at the beginning of this episode, what I did was I took the movie cold open and I took out Paul McGann's vocals. I found the original Gordon Tipple recordings, and then I recorded some Daleks with my Mooga Fuga and mixed that all together. And I'm pretty sure I've made the most faithful recreation of the Enemy Within opening credits. And so they scrapped the voiceover. Basically, Fox just went, "What? No one knows who this person is.
Yeah,
Just get rid of it. Like it's too confusing."
go onto YouTube and there's some fantastic fan edits of Anthony Ainley doing the intro, or a different version of the intro with McGann's voice as well. And it's like, yeah, that's what it should be. But no one knew who, you know.
Also, even in 1996, me, Doctor Who superfan as a child, did not recognize that crackly noise in the background as Daleks.
Yeah.
Like, who did that?
Well, is it a rights issue? Terry Nation wouldn't let them have real Daleks? Or is that just the Americans
who knows?
just being like, oh, we don't need him. We can do it ourselves.
Yeah, like we don't need anyone who knows how to do things, which is stupid because you look at the rest of the movie and at least the visual people knew what Doctor Who was.
Yes.
Like the casket has got seals of Rassilon. Even the Eye of Harmony has like a big like paved seal of Rassilon.
Although
on
I
it.
guess I have a kind of an issue with it having the seal of Rassilon. Like, yes, it is correct and it looks great. Would the Doctor have the seal of Rassilon on all his stuff? I always got the feeling that he doesn't really like Rassilon that much. Not enough to be like, oh, I'll just surround myself with seal of Rassilon,
I mean,
bathtub of Rassilon, couch of Rassilon, you know, structural wall of Rassilon.
I mean, as we know, the record player of Rassilon didn't work that well that episode. Yeah, okay. If we want to start at the start here, like we're shown a master, or we're at least heavily implied a master that exists before.
Yeah.
And it's not Anthony Ainley.
No.
Like we know this now that it's not Anthony Ainley. Like it's not explicitly said, but if you want to fit this within your canon, in one of the Virgin New Adventures, the Master, let's start from the start. Okay, so the Master in his decayed body keeps stealing bodies, but they keep wearing out and he goes back to being decayed again.
Yeah.
So he steals Treemass's body. He uses everything to try and keep it, the cheetah power to try and keep it going.
That body lasts much longer than Bruce's body, but it's a Traken, like someone from Traken. So
it's
different to human.
He got the Trakenite source because he was the keeper of Traken at the time.
Yeah.
And then he gets a new body in one of the Virgin New Adventures.
Yep.
Which one assumes is this body.
Mm-hmm.
I've done the work, so you don't have to. I've looked it up, and yeah, that seems to be where that sort of fits in. And again, he's looking for a new, like his bodies just keep wearing out. It's just the decay of his body just keeps seeping through.
Mm-hmm.
So now his big plan is to steal the Doctor's body. And to do this, I'm just going to give you guys a quick background here. In his TARDIS, the Master smiled in triumph, regarding the wiggling creature in the glass dish before him. In his laboratory, using the techniques of accelerated genetic engineering, he had reprogrammed, modified, and improved the death worms. On this planet, the Master finds this group of nomadic people, and they have these things called the death worm morphins.
Mm-hmm.
You eat one. If you die, it then comes out of your body and goes into someone else's body and takes it over. He experiments on them until there's only one left, and it's a super death worm woman. I'm having a look, I'm trying to explain something that I know sounds inherently ridiculous.
Yeah.
I need a bed in psychiatric.
And then basically he does this, he takes it, and then he's like, okay, and he stages a whole thing where he goes and gets himself captured by Daleks to then be executed and have his ashes taken to Gallifrey by the Doctor.
Yes.
Now, you have something from the Daleks' point of view, don't you?
Yes, and also from the novelization, which I think we're about to hit some very contradictory territory between a bunch of sources.
I should point out that the book I just read from is The Eight Doctors by Terrance Dicks. Good old Terrance Dicks. And it is canonically, I suppose, the BBC books is meant to take place immediately after the movie, but it flashes back to before the movie to give it some sort of context. Of course, it's a great book. Like, it is a great book. It's a Doctor Who book.
Yeah, I've read it too.
Yeah, it's great. But I will admit, like, rehashing the idea of the Doctor having amnesia after just doing a whole movie about him having amnesia is
So this is from the book Dalek, which is a big encyclopedia history of all the Daleks, and it has a section on the Master. What is known is that the Master would eventually fall foul of the Daleks, their relationship deteriorating to the point that the Time Lord was captured by a Dalek scouting party and transported to Skaro. So unique was the relationship between them that the Daleks afforded the Master a trial before his extermination, a privilege never accorded to an alien enemy before or since. Though they found the Master guilty and exterminated him for his crimes against them, the Daleks even agreed to grant his last request, that his remains be transported back to Gallifrey by the Doctor. That the Daleks were willing to allow their most hated enemy to claim the Master's ashes from them speaks to the relationship between the Daleks and the Master, that, while built on hatred, rage, and betrayal, included an element unseen elsewhere in the Dalek psyche, respect.
Ooh, I like that. I don't think that contradicts too much. I mean, I think that very much, you're getting 2 points of view there.
Yes, and then novelization, third point of view, the Daleks do not allow the Doctor to come and get the Master's ashes. He has to sneak into Skaro to get the Master's ashes so that the Daleks don't find him there. And how does he get the Doctor's ashes? Dustpan and broom. Sylvester McCoy with a dustpan and broom, sweeping the Master up from a chamber in Skaro and then sneaking back to the TARDIS with them.
Okay, I mean, that's definitely an image. All right. This is where we come in. This is the start of it. Like, we've just given you ancillary information before the movie even starts, but this is stuff that we've had to look up. If you were watching the movie, you're going, what?
Yeah, that was one big thing when I was watching this film. It's like, could you imagine? Like, my husband was watching it with me, and it's like, if you'd never seen Doctor Who before, do you even know what is happening? Do you know what's going on? Like, it's insane.
And that's the point. This movie was made for people who didn't know Doctor Who.
But I think,
because let's face it, we will get into the fact that fans didn't like it.
No.
It did not go to... I mean, I loved it. As I've said before, 1996, 7-year-old me sitting unreasonably close to the television and just calmly watching it. And then just got to the end, stop, rewind, play, and watched it again.
I think my opinion of this film is that if not for Sylvester McCoy being in the first half of this film, I think it could be taken away from canon. Like, I know we haven't done that. It is canon.
Yeah, it's canon.
But I feel like apart from Sylvester McCoy's appearance, this feels totally adrift of everything.
I think a lot of work has been done over the last 25 or so years to really fix that.
Yeah.
Your kiss was a flame.
Okay, back on track. If you want to know about the tangent we just went on, it's in the exclusive content. Go to the website. Right. So, the Doctor is in his TARDIS. The 7th Doctor is sitting down for a cup of tea, listening to a record. The Master's remains start doing things.
And he's reading a H.G. Wells book.
Yes, he's reading
which in the
Time
novelization
Machine.
we find out is signed copy of the book.
Of course it's that is because H.G. Wells appears in a Doctor Who story.
Great.
He's in Time Lash.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in Time Lash.
Yep. Master's little...
Like a casket.
Little casket, for his remains cracks open.
Yep.
Causes the tea to spill, the record to bump.
Scratch, and the TARDIS to sort of panic or something. And then you see this. Look, I will admit, I was watching this the other night with my partner, and we were looking at it, and she was just like, "Oh, I didn't know Alex Mack was in Doctor Who."
Oh no. Yeah, that's fair.
Slivery.
So the novel explains this form. It explains it in the book as the easiest form for it to take in terms of not using up too much energy. A slithering blob with just 2 eyes at the front that can move, but is conserving energy instead of making some kind of more intricate form for itself.
Okay. Does that then explain why in 15 minutes time it appears as a sort of translucent cobra?
No.
Okay. Right. Lovely. Thank you, Gary Russell. Okay. So yeah, it gets into the TARDIS, things start exploding. TARDIS lands in San Francisco.
We get the the introduction of, I guess, another companion for the Master, Chang Li.
Chang Li. And it goes into, doesn't it go into a lot more detail in the book?
There is more in the book. I did feel a lot worse for Chang Li when reading the novel because it's like his family, they were immigrants and they opened up a little corner shop and they were doing like really well in their new life for themselves until Chang Li's older brother fell into a gang, and then the gang want to start running drugs through this little corner shop, and the dad says no, so they kill the dad and the mum, and then the gang essentially take in the kids and the shop. And then inevitably, Chang Li's brother is just shot down in a gang fight, and Chang Li has no family left. It's just him in this gang, and I was like, oh.
And he's about to die. Like
being
his
chased
friends
by...
have been shot. He's about to die, but the TARDIS materializes in front of him.
Yes, and it saves him.
Yeah, and the Doctor steps out, shot, and you can see he obviously gets shot in like the shoulder and stuff. Sylvester McCoy is a great physical actor. When he gets shot, you believe it, like the way he twists and
goes
falls.
Down. Interesting about this sequence is that it was cut down. So the UK didn't even get the full version of this film because it was shown pre-Watershed. And it was ruled that the gang violence was too much.
Yep.
And there was some other part of the film that I can't remember that was taken out too. And they didn't see the full version of the film for years. It might have even not been until the DVD release or something. But the UK did not see the full version for a long time. Neither did Australia.
Weird. I mean, I watched it just recently.
But yes, we see the little worm blob come out of the...
Okay, we should use it. The death worm morphant. The death worm morphant is what it is called.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we see the death worm morphant slide out of the keyhole of the TARDIS.
Stop it.
And in the book, it scooches itself behind a dustbin.
Well, in the movie, it sort of becomes a puddle that someone steps in and then it reforms and moves on. So, ambulance comes along, and here we are introduced to Eric Roberts' Bruce, who is a paramedic.
Yep, and the morphant sneaks into his ambulance.
Yes, and then goes up the sleeve of his uniform.
So a bit of backstory on Bruce, because in the novel gives us more, obviously. Everyone thinks that Bruce is a saint in this book.
Right.
His wife is like, oh my God, I have a husband who is really hot and looks after his body and is muscular. He eats healthy. He's a gentleman. He helps people for a living. I couldn't ask for a better man in my life.
Apart from the horrendous sleep apnea.
All his... I think she says that's the only downside to him is the snoring. If that was gone, he would be perfect. And then all his co-workers are like, oh, Bruce is the best. There's no better co-worker than good old Bruce. And you feel the whole time everyone is just talking about how amazing Bruce is. And I guess it just makes you feel worse that this man is now just gone.
Is he rich? Because if we're going, he better be rich. Here.
Hey, I'm not signing anything, mister.
Sign, we can't do nothing. Come on, kid.
So let's just brush quickly over the Doctor. The Doctor gets taken to hospital. He has surgery to remove the bullets. They suddenly think there's something wrong with his heart because he's got two of them, and he dies due to anesthetic and
This is the first time that we've had a companion kill the Doctor.
Does she? Well, I mean, she's a companion.
She jams
after.
the thing into his heart.
Yeah, she's a cardiac surgeon.
I will say that I think this is the most negligent operating theatre ever, in that the patient woke up mid surgery and said, stop, don't do this, removing consent from them. And they continue to operate even though the circumstances to them, they don't know what they're doing. The x-rays were inconclusive. Everything should have said this, we need to stop. Just continue on.
And then of course you've got as soon as money gets involved in hospitals and things like that, you've got these investors looking down. And
okay, the novel, for some reason we get backstory on these investors.
Ooh,
I don't know why. It just, this and the security guard at the beryllium clock get backstory.
Okay.
I think it's just bulking the book out a bit more, but they're all at a party and there's a guy from the hospital and they're like, oh, you should take us to the hospital. That'll be a laugh, won't it? Oh, I hope a surgery's happening. And he orders them all cabs. And I'm like, why am I reading this? Why are we taking time to go into these fussy old people who want to invest in a hospital? And then you never see them again. It's not like it pays off later or anything. I'm not sure if this, no idea.
Here we have electrophysiology being performed by one of our senior cardiologists, Dr. Holloway, who will insert a microsurgical probe into the patient's artery Then search out the short-circuiting part causing the fibrillation, and just so you know your money's being well spent, we'll blast it with lasers.
Okay. All right.
Anyway,
so
that's a tangent.
so the doctor dies, gets put in the morgue, and then regenerates with Frankenstein themes because someone's watching Frankenstein at the time. Anyway, cut to Bruce. Bruce is asleep. He's snoring his head off. His wife looks like she wants to kill him. So Bruce, played by Eric Roberts, his wife, played by his wife.
Yeah.
So we see the Moffatt slide around the room and then slides down his throat.
Yes. So in the novel, the Morphin actually takes a moment to decide which of the two bodies it wants. Because it thinks, I could take the woman's body or this man's body. And the deciding factor for it is that the man is snoring, so therefore his mouth is already open, so it takes less energy to crawl into an open mouth than into her closed one.
So it's not patriarchy. I'm so glad.
It chokes him to death, and then once he's dead, then it takes over.
Shut up. Bruce, please.
Okay, so they hint at that in the film, and I
Yeah.
feel like there's probably bits that have been cut that sort of say that. Because, of course, there's the bit later where he goes looking for the doctor's body, and his fingernail is, like, rotting off.
Yes.
And he, like, flicks it over the...
So what was supposed to happen and does happen in the book, but what's supposed to happen in the film is that he's going to end up looking like Beavers and Pratt, in that he's going to be all decayed and
Yep.
falling apart.
I must find the doctor. This body won't last long. I need the doctor's body.
But Eric Roberts could not deal with the prosthetics. He couldn't wear them. So they had to scrap the idea and just hinted it. But in the book, we absolutely get him falling apart like a finger. He just loses an entire finger, rotting off at one point.
Yep.
His skin's all flaky. And also this is how Chang Li starts to realize that things aren't what they should be, because there's this horrifying, decaying monster yelling at him.
So, like, yeah, he takes over the body, and then first thing he does is he kills
Miranda.
Bruce's wife. Yep, Miranda. And then he goes looking for the doctor's body.
Hey, Bruce. Why the shades?
I had a bad night.
Did you want something?
What happened to the gunshot wound I brought in? I've got orders to move him.
He died.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've got orders to move his body.
And he finds Chang Li. And there are a lot of things that could be said about Eric Roberts' performance, but I think he showed a very convincing master. Like, he very quickly makes himself very convincing to Chang Li.
Mm-hmm.
He basically spins this whole story about how the doctor is the villain.
He has stolen my body. And I will die unless we bring him back here. You're going to help me do that. Do you understand?
He's some of the worst people in history.
Yes.
Genghis Khan. That was him.
Yeah. So Eric Roberts is an Oscar-nominated actor. He does know what he's doing.
He's a jobbing actor as well. He's one of those
Yes.
people who was he will take roles. He plays gangsters more than anything.
There's actually a really great story to this. So if you don't mind, I'll just want to quickly talk about Eric Roberts. So very delicately around this subject, he, self-admission, was very heavily addicted to cocaine for nearly his entire career.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where the sets he was on, it was rampant. So he just fell into it like
the
that.
industry.
And that's the thing. And there wasn't support for men like that. Back then, it was not like it would be now, or it would be, people would be more aware of it. His wife, bless her, this woman is a saint. She never gave up on him the whole time. She married him at the height of his problem.
Mm-hmm.
She stuck by him the whole time. And she is actually the one who said to him, don't worry about the stigma of B movies. She's like, be working. You love to work, so work. And who gives a shit if people say B movies are bad? You could be the king of the B movies. And he kind of is.
He kind of is,
He's in like 680 things on Internet Movie Database.
Yeah, people talk about Bruce Campbell, but yeah.
But he's in so much. And so, you know what? He just decided he would.
Yep.
And that's what he does. And he does all that. And then they worked together. He's clean now. They stuck it out and she helped him and he got past it. And, you know, he's never regretted any part of his choices in his career. So,
yeah. I mean, his sister, Julia Roberts, is more famous. And so is his daughter is sort of coming up as being a lot more famous than him too. But he has done more movies than both of them combined.
Yeah. A very sweet thing. I did see an interview with him where they asked if you had a TARDIS, where would you go? And he said, I'd want to take my kids into space and solve mysteries.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come back to bed, honey.
My name is not Honey.
Oh, well. What would you like me to call you then?
Master will do.
Well, come back to bed, Master.
The Bruce Master. He's walking around in a big leather trench coat. Even
Yeah.
though it has the insignia on it,
Yeah.
I am not convinced that paramedics get
Wear
long
coats.
leather trench coats as their uniform.
But I think it's a very 90s master look, right? Like
Yeah.
there's no other choice I feel for this in terms of making
That was
him
the only
look-
thing they could do. I mean, he's playing the Terminator.
Yeah.
That is what he's playing the Terminator, which is what American audiences want in a villain.
Also, I point out, Robert said he didn't know anything about, he knew of the show, but he didn't know who the master was or anything about him. Everything he learnt was from people on set who knew about the show.
Yeah.
So I think that also is, if you were given this role, he's playing it exactly how he should be playing it if he never knew who the character was.
And I think there are some beautiful little moments that are
Absolutely.
just, this total like humorless thing that he has. There's that great line where Chang Li is just like, huh, you kill me, man. It's just like, you want me to kill you. It's just so
No, you make me
dead.
laugh. Novel cuts that line for some reason. It's not in there.
that's
I don't know
weird.
why.
It's one of the best lines in the movie.
Yeah.
You kill me.
You want me to kill you?
No, I mean, you make me laugh, man. You're a funny
As
guy.
funny as it is, I do like the line, "This is an
An
ambulance."
ambulance.
Because, again, I know we've compared before other masters. I think I could hear Delgado saying that to a companion that he's hypnotized. I think that's purely that's on character, that line.
What are we waiting for?
The road's still blocked.
This is an ambulance!
So him and Chang Li in the TARDIS, and we see the cloister room with the Eye of Harmony.
Yeah. In the film, it's a little ambiguous, but the novel sets us straight on it. Chang Li is mesmerized. Not fully, but he has used his
He
powers.
like shakes his head a bit, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
he has used his powers of hypnosis to draw Chang Li into him and to make him trust him. And so Chang Li is acting within his own free will, as in like driving and things like that. But he is under a semi-hypnotic spell of the master.
Yeah.
And he is promised riches and gold and gold dust.
Okay, so fun little fact here. The master goes over to the wall and like pulls out a drawer
Yeah.
and grabs gold dust and gives it to Chang Li. I'm pretty sure it's in the 8 Doctors that it clarifies, like the doctor walks over to the drawer marked C for Cybermen
Yep,
and grabs out
grabs
the
it.
gold dust.
Yes. I know you like stats.
I love statistics.
So the value of the gold dust that the master gives to Lee, I
Right.
thought I would, because they're like, oh, it's worth
In
a lot.
1999, I hope you're checking prices or value now.
Well, I'm going to do it value now
Okay, sure,
because
sure, sure.
I would estimate about 500 grams in that little pouch that he gets. I don't think that's like a kilo.
No, he's carrying it easily.
Yeah. So for American people, that's about just over a pound.
Right.
So 500 grams for us, a pound for America of gold. Today's money, Australian, $49,825. In the US, that's 31,000. In UK, that's 26,000 pounds. So
And what
it's
is it in euros, Amber?
Didn't do euros. So it's actually like not.
That's not insignificant, no.
It's not insignificant, but it's also not the millions that Chang Li is imagining. I imagine, like when he's like, "Here, have this bag of gold dust," and he's like, you can have the rest later. And it's like, so about 100 grand.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
enough to take a
equivalent.
holiday.
Yeah. It's not the millions that he's promised though, but it's still more money than he ever would have seen before.
What do you want, Lee?
What do you mean?
If you could have anything at all, what would it be?
I don't know. $1 million.
Only $1 million?
Okay, $2 million.
Think bigger.
$1 billion.
And what would that buy you?
Power.
Okay. So the doctor's got his memory back. They need to go find a beryllium atomic clock. They call an ambulance, and the scene is kind of ambiguous. I assume that what they're trying to do, like Grace thinks he's insane and is trying to take him to the hospital. And so they're in the ambulance. And Grace obviously knows who Bruce is because she probably
Yes.
sees him at the hospital.
Yes,
and
they all
things
work
like that.
together. Again, this plays into the whole Bruce is a saint because Bruce is the one who shows up at the door and she's like, oh, thank God it's Bruce, the most reliable of all the paramedics. Oh, I love you, Bruce. I'm so glad it's you.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for the hubris.
Yeah. Also, Joey is the name of his ambulance partner. So when
Who you
the-
never see.
who you never see. So they think in the book is killed by Bruce Master instantly. It's the first death, I think. Oh no,
After
it's the
the
second
wife,
after
yep.
the wife. So when Chang Li is driving, they're like, oh, it's Joey who's driving. That's fine.
Yeah. I did love the shifty looks in the rearview mirror by Chang Li.
Yeah.
Obviously, the master, he's walking around in this trench coat. His body's slightly decaying, depends how you look at it. He's wearing aviator sunglasses in the middle of the night because his eyes are green. I don't know why. When I was a kid, being like the Doctor Who nerd that I was and am, I was just like, oh, he's got cat's eyes because, of course, the cheetah thing.
people. Yeah.
But no, it's just meant to because he's like snake. It's the whole snake thing.
Yeah.
And then we are introduced to a new thing for the master, slime.
Yeah.
He spits slime.
Acidic slime.
Caustic slime, which he goes to spit at the doctor. The doctor gets out of the way and Grace suddenly manages to get herself in the way.
Yeah.
And she gets some slime on her wrist, which actually, like, I'll admit, for the special effects at the time, it actually looks quite grisly, like an acid burn.
Could you imagine if there was a toy line for this movie? It's the master with action spit, like it's the master with slime spitting action. And it, like you'd click it
So
at the back and it
90s.
would like spit slime.
New from Kerblam, Doctor Who, the movie, the toys. Collect them all. Regenerating 7th Doctor figure. Press a button and watch his face change.
Whoa!
Chang Li is there to help with gun and gold dust accessories.
Narrow guy. Chang Li will help you.
Be ready for opera or open heart surgery with quick change Grace.
I'm medically negligent.
New deluxe talking 8th Doctor figure with all your favorite lines from the movie.
I'm half human. On that other side.
The evil master with his super slime blaster. Line up the security guards and knock them down.
Awesome!
Face off with the Doctor and the Master in the all-new Cloister Room playset with lights and real opening Eye of Harmony.
My retina!
Save San Francisco and the Web of Time today with Doctor Who, the movie, the toys. Available now from Kerblam. Each sold separately, batteries not included. So she gets slimed, and then the Doctor just unloads a fire extinguisher on the Master.
I can't be hurt like this.
And well, I mean, he goes like there's get it off me, get it off me. Chang Li's like wiping him down.
Down with just stuff.
Get it off me! Get it off me! Get it off me!
Oh, then we lead into the whole chase. The Doctor and Grace are on a motorcycle driving around, and he's jumping it up ramps.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, they somehow managed to make it there beforehand.
Well, Chang Li knows the streets. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and
That's
also
his talent.
there was a random roadblock of chickens.
Yeah,
that the Doctor
fine.
just chickens.
Yeah, in the novel, it's that they're on the Golden Gate Bridge and everyone's going to parties, so
They
there's
are
just a
so
traffic
far
jam.
away from the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, that's in the book. They're just like, oh, yeah, everyone's going to parties. There's a lot of traffic, so it's slow. That's it. There's no chickens.
Okay, no chickens. Yeah, look, choices were made. So yeah, they get to the beryllium atomic clock. Again, the Doctor reiterates that he's half human.
Oh, I'm going to posit to something here, which my lovely
Ooh,
husband
posit.
my lovely husband came up with, which I think is a good idea. Do you think that the 4 security guards covered in goo was a pickup shot filmed later to just make the Master more threatening? Because you never see him do it. It's not really needed for Grace and the Doctor to be going down that hallway. It just is a random shot in the middle of the action where they come round a corner.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a something.
And one of them falls out. So yeah,
Yeah.
they come around a corner and clearly it's meant to be the Master, although we've seen that his goo can be toxic or like caustic or something. We've
Yeah.
not seen that it can just slime people like in Ghostbusters.
and freeze them in place. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just Ghostbusters, basically.
Yeah, it really feels like we need some more threatening stuff to have happened.
One of them like creaks and falls
Fall-
over.
yeah.
It's like 4 of them standing there. They're covered in goo. They've got their guns pointing, and yeah, he falls over, and then the gun goes off.
Yeah, and makes them run off.
Yeah.
The Master?
You're lucky he only got your wrist.
Comic timing. And then they get down from the roof via a fire hose, and they land on the top of a police car.
Who asks no questions and just doesn't get out the car to inspect what that was.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, fine, moving on.
And then, of course, the master doesn't even run into them while they're there.
No, not at all. That's why it's so...
It's a weird thing. It's just them having to go there to get the piece to fix the TARDIS so the TARDIS can leave.
Basically, the master could have just not left the TARDIS. Don't bother going to meet the Doctor. Just wait at the TARDIS for him to come back.
Yes. So then we go to the TARDIS. We're at the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Grace's caustic burn from the slime makes her go all black-eyed and alien, and
Yeah.
Doctor's trying to fix the TARDIS. Doctor gets knocked out, and then the Doctor is being like held up with Clockwork Orange vibes.
Yeah, like some real kinky,
Yeah.
some real kinky choices were made.
And then
It's so over the top and so unnecessary, and it's like eyes are held open by little spikes.
And then the master comes in with the famous line,
I always dress for the occasion.
and he comes in and he's got like black gloves and he's got rings and
big
he's got
Gallifrey robes.
Well, yeah, it's meant to look like I suppose 90s version of Gallifrey robes. One thing I only like, it's a blink and you'll miss it because there's only ever one full shot of him.
Mm-hmm.
He's in gorgeous little Cuban heels.
Of course he is. Of course he is.
It's impressive.
Which is why we have no time to waste.
But time to change.
So I have heard, I've read plenty of interviews and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
People who were on the set, like Paul McGann and Daphne Ashbrook, they say one of the biggest problems with Eric Roberts on set was that he was worried about coming off as camp.
Yes.
And so in being worried about it, he managed to sort of create it, basically. He didn't have the capacity to laugh at himself at the time.
As I said, this is almost the darkest point of his career, personally, for him.
Yeah.
You know, this is he's got some legal battles, I think, going on at this point too over custody. So he's not doing great. So yeah, so I think that there's that internal struggle with himself.
Yeah.
For all these things, because he's just not having a good time.
But I think there's some beautiful camera work here if you watch it, like the wonderful like parallel shots of like the Doctor and the Master.
They do a lot of that in this film, which I do appreciate. Like there is a point earlier in the film where the camera flashes rapidly between the two new regenerations of the bodies to show them, which is nice, showing that mirroring that really directly, which we get in other things, but this one really puts them side by side a lot.
So after having like the Doctor and the Master in the same room and talking to them both, Chang Li's like, oh wait, the Master's insane. And so the Master says, look, I'll show you I'm not insane. Snaps neck.
In the book, the Master's decaying body basically has to give up the hypnotic control over Chang Li and Grace in order to survive. It's like, I can either fall apart now or give up control and get some energy back.
Yeah.
So Chang Li does get released from some of the influence as well.
Open the eye!
No! You lied to me.
Lee, I would never lie to you. I would only protect you.
No!
So the Eye of Harmony needs to be opened by a human for some obscure reason.
Yeah.
So he's killed Chang Li. He then has to really full-on French Grace to turn her human again. Also, we just sort of skated over the fact that this is the first time the Doctor like kisses someone. As Stephen Moffat put it, puberty came to Doctor Who. So yeah, then Grace has to look in the Eye of Harmony, and there's this whole like light being shined on the Doctor and the Master, like transferring the energy and the lives.
Yeah, and he's standing so dramatically, like hands up in the air, flourishing, as he's like getting the energy coming into him. He could just stand there.
Yeah. This is an interesting point that isn't actually covered in the film. I realized watching it the other day, I feel like that's probably what they were going for, is the fact that while the Eye of Harmony is open in its current situation, as the Doctor says, the Earth will be sucked through it because it's part of a black hole.
Yep.
It's going to suck the Earth through it. Grace, now free, goes and fixes the TARDIS. It leaves, and so the Earth isn't going to be sucked through it anymore, and that seems to be stopping the transference between the Doctor and the Master. So it's not actually explicitly said, but it kind of feels like he needs to destroy the Earth for the body swap to happen.
I think I found this episode quite confusing in like what's actually technically happening here. The novel again fixes things, and the Earth does blink out of existence. It does get sucked in.
God!
And when they count down to midnight, it goes. There's nothing left. Only the inside of the TARDIS remains.
Oh wow!
And then Grace fixes it, and time reverses, and Earth comes back into existence.
Yeah. And then she goes and starts freeing the Doctor, and then the Master kills her.
Not in the book, because they still need an outside POV to focus on what's happening.
Oh really?
Yeah, no, she doesn't die in the book. She's just knocked to the side so she can keep observing the action and tell the reader.
Oh, is it being told from her point of view?
In that scene, it is. It swaps.
Why not just do it in the third person?
No, it swaps to a different POV throughout the whole book. So different scenes from a different person. And yeah, this particular moment is from her.
Can Gary Russell only write from like first person? Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah. And then the Master and the Doctor fight.
Yep.
And the Master gets sucked into the Eye of Harmony.
Well, I want to go back and talk about this scene. Yep, because he's grabbed one of the staffs and he's hanging there and he's being sucked in, and the Master, the Doctor reaches out his hand and says, "Give me your hand." Tries to save him, as you would expect.
Yeah.
And the Master says, like, "No, never," or something like that, and lets himself be sucked in. I don't think he would. We've seen this man beg for his life, grovel at the Doctor's feet. At this point, we know in hindsight, but at this point, there's no backup. This is it for the Master. If he dies here, he
has left a contingency, like basically just a nasty little trick for the Doctor, which wipes his memory, which is the whole point of the 8 Doctors.
Yeah. But this is like, at the time, I guess the characterization it's different, but I don't think he would have. I think he would have taken the Doctor's hand, because anything's better than ultimate death.
Yeah.
But in the novel, again, it changes it. There's no time. The Master can't be saved.
Right.
He doesn't grab the staff and is holding on. He just gets sucked into that thing. The Doctor is sad because he can't save him.
Which is on brand.
Which, yes, is on brand. He would want to, but he can't. There's no time. He can't reach for him. He's gone.
So yeah, then.
But yes, in hindsight, now we know there was a contingency, so it wasn't the end for him.
Yeah, but whether or not he knew he was going to die being sucked in there is another thing. As I said, like the Eye of Harmony is connected to the Matrix, and he's existed in the Matrix before, whether he thought that he could get there or something like that.
Give me your hand!
So yeah, and then Grace and Changli are alive again because, I don't know, time going backwards
time
or magic.
reversed, and they weren't dead in the past.
No, they weren't. They weren't dead in the past.
So, but that doesn't work for everyone else, because the books explicitly states that Joey and Miranda and everyone else don't come back to life.
I assume it only goes back to the moments before midnight or something.
Yeah.
And also they're in the room with the black hole.
I don't know. It states in the movie they've gone back to the start of that day.
Okay.
When the eye was first opened. So when Changli opens the eye, it goes back to
that. Oh,
to
okay.
that.
Right. And then the eye closes again. And there's that sort of, you hear the grumbling, like
the burp.
Like sort of screaming off in the distance in the TARDIS. Now, in 2010, 11, there was a series of games called the Adventure Games. They were on the BBC website. And there was one story where it was set inside the TARDIS. And like one of the little Easter eggs was you could hear the sound of like someone screaming in the distance.
So, where's the Master?
Indigestion.
Now, this is not the end for this Master.
No.
So it is revealed in one of the later audios. So Big Finish have brought Eric Roberts back to play the part. And a lot of people were hesitant because, because of the movie, I think someone even said at one point, out-acted by a CGI snake in the same role, which is a bit unfair.
Yeah, it's very unfair.
So they did a couple of teasers to bring him back, and it was a River Song audio that we will get to one of these days. We will be going through every single Master story. That he got sucked into the Eye of Harmony, into the heart of the TARDIS, and the TARDIS didn't want anything to do with him. And so basically pushed him out into a random room of the TARDIS and then jettisoned that room off into the time vortex. It's just like, nope, goodbye. And of course, the the power from the Eye of Harmony going into it, he got enough of it to stabilize his body, at least for a while. And so we have more stories with Eric Roberts, and they're actually really good.
Yeah, he's really menacing in the return. I especially like him in Masterful, the way he just intimidates and bullies, not even directly, just his presence is bullying to Decayed Master.
Yeah.
I am not Bruce. It took me a minute with the talking and the walking, but I am not Bruce. I am merely inside his body.
The sort of total lack of sense of humor is great when he's playing against Michelle Gomez as Missy, because she's like making fun of him, but he's not having any of it.
Yeah, I really like this sort of cool master in a sense, you know. After we get over the whole Decayed and the body in flux and him having a very time sensitive issues to deal with, I think it's really cool to have this sort of stoic version of this character.
And I like how in future, as I say, we'll get to them, some of the audios play off different parts. They play off the menacing part, but then there's also the aspect that we saw when he was talking to Chang Li, the sort of bargaining, the very convincing aspect of this sort of, I mean, the first story with him is called Faustian, and this sort of ability to promise people things and make deals.
Yeah, which is a very interesting take on the hypnotic side. He's not as blunt. He's sort of being hypnotic in an understated charismatic way. I'm cool. I'm confident. You should listen to me. I know what I'm talking about.
There's a bit of the book that really shows that off well. Chang Li was captivated by those eyes. They seemed to bore right into him, deep, deep down, as if they could see everything inside of him. His whole life, every experience, every feeling, happy, sad, angry, hurt. Chang Li wanted to close his own eyes, shut out Bruce's horrible new green ones, but he simply could not. He dug his fingernails into the palms of his hands until they really hurt. Suddenly he managed to shake his head, feeling as if he had broken free of something. He stepped back. Stop that, Bruce. Hell, man, if you're not Bruce, what are you? I am known as the Master. Oh, you're so insufferably good, aren't you, Doctor? The Master was screaming now. Always ready to sacrifice yourself for the good of everyone else. You sanctimonious hypocrite. Why aren't you willing to sacrifice yourself for me? The Doctor was looking at Chang Li again, but all he could do was watch the Master, mesmerized by his sudden outburst. And Chang Li felt his mind clearing. The Doctor spoke softly, but Chang Li still heard him. Because you're not worth it.
It makes me so sad, that one, that you're not worth it, because it's like, it's like the lowest point of their relationship, probably.
Yeah.
You know, in relationship to the Doctor and the Master, this is probably one of the most low points.
Well, especially
for the two of them. There's no fun here. That they try in the novelization, the Doctor grabs one of the staffs as well and is like, on guard, and they fight with the staffs, but it really doesn't work. You're like, this is not the time. Like, I know you're trying to capture maybe the Delgado Pertwee sword fight, but there's no time for levity here. He's trying to steal your body forever.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the lowest point for the Master, because he has literally done everything. He's used up all his regeneration. In order, he used the Sashin Rod of Rassilon to channel power from the Eye of Harmony, which stabilized him a bit. Then he used the Trakanite Source to steal Treemass's body and stabilize it. Then he used the Cheetah power to try and stabilize his body again. There was that other one that I keep forgetting what it is. It's from a book called Final Frontier, and he uses another energy source to force a regeneration and become new again.
Yep.
But even that's still decaying, and then he has to use the Deathworm Morphin, and he takes on Bruce's body, but even that's decaying. And eventually he will always end up back as the Decayed Master until a story that we will talk about another time.
Nice.
What do you know of last chances? More than you!
I have wasted all my lives because of you, Doctor. And I will be rid of you.
All your lives! Didn't you tell Lee I'd stolen your lives? Lee, he's lying! He's used all his lives, now he wants mine. Like I told you, this is my TARDIS. This is my body.
So yeah, that is The Enemy Within. I like that title. I prefer it.
To just the movie.
Well, it's not even the movie. It's the TV movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hate it.
My
so
overall
much.
thoughts of this is that, again, I think I said at the beginning, it's of its time. It's what it is at the period it was made. All the choices it makes are based on that. And so that's what makes it not a timeless piece.
Yeah.
Overall, Roberts, I like his version. As you know, it's good to have not the same thing every single time.
Yep.
This is an interesting version of him, and the audios explore it more. And as the audios often do, give it more time and its own story. Doesn't rely on the Doctor. It focuses on him, and he does a really fantastic job. So I can't wait for us to talk about those.
Yeah. It is interesting as well, having watched these Doctor Who stories and listened to them and stuff, from the point of view of only focusing on the Master and not focusing on any other character, it really does show this film in a totally different light.
Yeah.
Because when you look at this performance separated from acting against Paul McGann, who, let's face it, Paul McGann is an incredible actor.
Yes, I think he is absolutely 100% the highlight of this film.
He actually really loves being called the longest and the shortest. Yeah, because he's only had like 60 minutes of screen time, but he has done more audio stories than like anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
He's been the longest continuous running Doctor.
Yes.
I am the Doctor.
Good! Now do that again.
Okay, it's time to see if you were attending carefully. Ciarán? So, what is decorating the altar on which the Doctor places the Master's remains? There are 5 things.
Oh, okay. There's candles.
Yep.
There's a gargoyle-y like thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a mirror.
Yes.
Is there like a chalice, like a cup?
No.
No idea.
Books and an hourglass.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
I just want to say about this altar, this is the most over the top, like, the Doctor can go on all he wants about not really caring about the Master, but this altar is just one of absolute, like, dramatic send-off. Dribbly candles, gargoyle, like, it almost looks like the demon's gargoyle.
Oh, Bok. That was his name.
How does the Master correct Grace's grammar?
Oh, did she kiss as good as me? As well as you.
Yes, which is, I love that. Let me just stop for a moment to just correct some grammar in here.
Did you know Madame Curie too?
Intimately.
She kissed as good as me?
As well as you.
What theory of Freud's does the Master say the Doctor is exhibiting?
Transference.
Yes, which also doesn't make sense at all in the context of what they're talking about.
Well, he's saying he's a doctor, but she's the Doctor, so like he's transferring on. Yeah, no.
The theory of transference is that if I, as a kid, had a traumatic incident with a particular looking man, that I would then transfer the trauma of that onto any other man that looked like that subconsciously. Even though I had no reason not to trust them, I would still be like, oh, but that one.
I didn't go to university.
Don't think it makes any sense at all what's going on in that conversation. But anyway, yes, transference.
He likes me to call him Doctor.
Well,
You know, Freud had a name for that.
transference.
That's very witty, Grace. At least Freud would have taken me seriously.
So the Doctor has filing cabinets in his TARDIS, but can you name a time when the Master had filing cabinets in his TARDIS?
See, this is slightly unfair. Slightly unfair. When did he have filing cabinets in his TARDIS? I mean, it's got to be. It's either an Ainley story. It's either a Treemath Master or a Suave Master story. Was it in the Time Monster?
No, but you're close.
The.
Do you give up?
Yep.
It's the colony in space.
Oh, I was gonna say the colony in space.
Yes, I do agree. That's a bit of an unfair question, but I wanted to see. I just love the idea of there being filing cabinets in the TARDIS. And I was like, what a ridiculous idea. And then I was like, no, wait. Joe and the Doctor go through the Master's TARDIS with filing cabinets.
Gold dust?
You get the rest when I get my body back. Deal?
This one's to amuse myself.
Okay.
What does the Master say he needs several times throughout the film?
I know it. I need the Doctor's body.
Sure does.
Oh, amazing.
That gave me no end of amusement when I was watching this.
I need the Doctor's body.
Planning to take my body.
I am merely inside his body.
He will take my body.
Body. And he's doing it all with my body.
So well done. You were attending carefully.
I was attending carefully, just not to the colony in space. It's not fair. I'm adding in booze.
Oh.
Amber, what did we learn?
We learnt that the Master is doing anything he can to prolong his life, and
Yep.
he is reaching the end.
Yeah. That's basically it, wasn't it?
I'm trying to think what else he did. He doesn't really do much in this.
I mean, he's a snappy dresser.
We learnt that he's still a dramatic bitch.
Yes.
Well, we learnt that the TARDIS still has an interesting relationship with him, and that he's scared to operate it or almost touch it in any way.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I suppose there's that. It gets sort of talked about on and off across Doctor Who about TARDISes having, what do they call it? Like isomorphic controls,
Yeah.
like being connected. Even though in real terms, TARDISes get taken off. Like there's literally an 8th Doctor audio adventure where the 9 steals the Doctor's TARDIS, just walks in, pilots it off.
Yep.
Yeah. So it is an interesting sort of wariness that the Master has.
Yes. We probably learnt some important lore in that the rest of the universe presumes the Master exterminated completely.
Yep.
Although Gallifrey, interesting thing, I get the impression that it's Romana who tells the Doctor to go to Gallifrey. So
One would assume she'd be the
president. I think I got the impression from the novel that it was Romana
Oh, is it? Okay.
talking to the Doctor and being like, we've been sent this will and testament.
See, this that shows that he planned it, because the Daleks aren't sending a will and testament. He's sent it to Gallifrey knowing that he's going to be killed by the Daleks.
Yes. So at this point in time, the Time Lords believe the Master completely exterminated
Right.
and gone.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because that period of the 7th Doctor is when the 7th Doctor is very Machiavellian. Like everything he does is all planned out and it's all big, long games. And he thinks that the Master's dead, but he falls into the Master's long game.
Yes. And we end with the Master being eaten, as it were, by the Eye of Harmony. And that's at this point where everyone believes him to be.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that's an interesting callback, isn't it? About how, like, the Master, used up his bodies on his terms. He has gone to be killed, executed by the Daleks on his terms. Like, part of his plan involves him dying in that body so he can steal the Doctor's body.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, it's interesting. And of course, the next time we see him properly in, say, New Who, he's Yana and then Harold Saxon, and he's regenerating again.
Yes.
But yes, so basically through to a long, convoluted series of events that we will get to, he gets a whole new regeneration life cycle. They do actually say in that story, however many that is. They love to keep it open because, I mean, the whole 13 thing is well out the window now.
Yeah, just completely gone.
I think actually the movie is one of the only stories that actually they say it outright.
The Time Lord has 13 lives. And the Master had used all of his.
So we didn't learn too many new things about this particular Master, but that is a product of this being a very standalone TV film with nods and acknowledgements of past and previous things, but not with the intention of moving on to more that it never did.
Yeah. I mean, the whole point of the Doctor having amnesia in this, Matthew Jacobs has said, was so that the audience find out who the Doctor is at the same time the Doctor does. But of course, it was a bit of a flop because the ordinary people didn't understand it and the fans didn't like it.
Don't blame them either, group. Yeah.
I personally, I enjoy it. I think I can look past the problems and enjoy it.
It's very different though. Like it's not even near to close what it was. I can see why fans initially, I think a lot more people have grown to accept it and like it. But that's because we got more content.
Yeah, again, it's more of the thing you like.
More stuff that we like. So you can ignore a TV movie blip for an hour and 25 minutes because with the context of everything else we have, it's fine. It's not offensive in the grand scheme of things. But at the time, it was all you were getting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Paul McGann is my favourite Doctor. Like, I love the 8th Doctor audio adventures. They are genuinely incredible. Wonderful performances, and of course Nicola Walker plays his companion in a lot of them, and I would die for Nicola Walker.
Let's get her on the show.
Let's get her on the show.
Your kiss was a flame.
The body count for this episode.
Yes, let's have the body count.
So, in this story, we lose 4 security guards, 1 Bruce, 1 Miranda, 1 Joey, who I'm counting from the novel.
Yep, that's fine.
We also lose 1 Lee and 1 Grace, but they become undone and revived. So, bringing us to a grand total of 7 deaths, which is the lowest to date for our count.
Do we count the 7th Doctor regenerating as the Master causing his regeneration?
No, I don't think so. Because he didn't intend. Wasn't part of his plan. It was just a nice
Yeah, one
coincidence.
wonders what he would have done. Would he have just tried to take the Doctor in his sleep or something?
He's planning to take my body.
Would he have just tried to... No, there's no way I can say...
Would he have just waited for an opportune moment to
get in the Doctor's body?
Inside his body.
Well, no, we can't have, because we know that he has to have tied the Doctor up and channeled the energy through the eye. So he needs help. He can't do it on his own. So that can't have been the plan.
So he was obviously just waiting for...
Or was he just going to worm into the mouth like he did with Bruce into the Doctor? Just choke him to death on the Moffatt body?
Or was he going to wait for the Doctor to land and get into another adventure and wait for the nearest person and take over their body?
Yes, because he did, in the novel, he does look at going into Chang Li's body. But he says it's not mature enough. It's too young. It wouldn't last.
Right.
So that's why he has to go for older, fitter Bruce.
I mean, that seems a bit backward, but I'm sure that's the logic Matthew Jacobs wrote. So that's
yeah.
Fine. Or indeed Gary Russell. I mean, look, Gary Russell knows more about Doctor Who than any other person. Or than many other people anyway. Well, that's all for this week's episode of Please Attend Carefully. Thank you so much for listening. We hope that with each new episode you come to understand, appreciate, and maybe even obey the Master. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to be updated on new episodes. Amber, how can listeners get in contact with us?
They can email us at pleaseattendcarefully@gmail.com, send us an ask at Tumblr on Please Attend Carefully, or subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Please Attend Carefully.
That's right. Don't forget, you can also go to peasdinner.com.au/shows/attend for exclusive content not available in the main feed. I've been Ciarán.
I'm Amber.
We leave you now with a clue for next week's episode. We hope you'll all be tuning in. After all, it can't hurt you to listen, can it?